Social media is the thing that everybody is wanting to crack the code of, because I'm looking at Andre Forster there. Andre's another agent on my EXP team, and he was saying to me the other day, and I mean, they're two of the top-selling agents in EXP, his wife Lydia. And I said to him, where do you get all your leads from? And he said to me, we get nothing off P24. We sell most of our houses off Facebook ads. So I actually said to Andre, you and I must look at doing a similar series like the one we're doing on Instagram now with Neil. Andre and I might do the same on Facebook ads and how they generate such high-quality leads on Facebook ads. So the point being that the world is changing. Social media is not going away. It is becoming a highly fruitful source of business. So it's a business tool as much as it is a social tool. And, it leaves a lot of us feeling a little bit intimidated because, it's a new skill. This is not something you learned at school. This is not something you learned at varsity. This is not something you've learned in the last 30 years of real estate if you've been in real estate for a long time. This is a new thing. And our kids seem to be far more okay with it and capable on it than we are. And it's intimidating. You log into the portals, you log into the dashboards, you try to figure out how to do the stuff. It's intimidating if you haven't done it before. And so if you are here because you want to learn and you feel intimidated and you're not quite sure where to start, etc., you're in the right place. Okay, that we're here to learn together. And as I say, hopefully we can pick up this kind of social media series with guys like Andre, who are very good at a particular skill within social media. And I think that's one of the best ways for us to approach this is we pick people who are doing one thing exceptionally well, and we learn from that person. In Neil's case, he's doing video content on Instagram exceptionally well, and he's getting incredible results doing it. And so we can learn from him on this particular skill. So Neil he's a real estate agent based in Johannesburg. And Neil contacted me a few months back because he saw what we were doing at EXP. He loved the progressive cloud-based model of EXP. It fitted well with his business objectives. And so Neil joined me as a partner at EXP. And as I got to know Neil better, I started watching his stuff online. And I reached out to him at some point. I said to him, Neil, you are producing unbelievably good content on Instagram. In fact, I would say he's probably producing the best content on Instagram that I've ever seen with any real estate agent that I've been associated with. And I mean, as it is, I've got over 500 team members in my own EXP team. And of course, I've been in touch with tens of thousands of estate agents through the years as a real estate trainer and coach. So I have had a bit of exposure to the real estate industry and what guys are doing on marketing. And Neil is really knocking it out the park on Instagram. So I can't wait for him to share with us what he's doing. Neil won't claim to have all the answers. In fact, he will say he's just a student. He's just starting his journey. He's learning. He's getting better all the time. That's fine. Isn't that what this is all about? It's about going on a journey together and learning from one another as we all learn together. So, yeah, Neil, thanks so much for your time. Okay, just a couple of points of introduction, just a few admin things, and then I'm going to hand it over to Neil. So once again, if you've joined us late, we are just asking you to mute your microphone, please, for the duration of the webinar. Make sure your mic is muted, because if we start hearing noise, it disrupts the whole webinar. Put your questions in the chat bar, please. I will be watching the chat bar, and I will raise those questions at the end of the webinar. Please join the Facebook group. Okay, yes. So what we did was, because there may be like too many questions to answer on the sessions, what I've done is I've created a Facebook group. I'm putting the link in the chat bar right now. So if you click the link in the chat, it will open another tab. It won't close down the Google meeting. So you can click it. It'll open the tab in Facebook. Go and join the Facebook group. It's just for this webinar series. And then you can come back to the webinar. tab. And then what you can do is throughout the course of the 3 weeks, you can put questions or comments or media. Let's say you've shot a little video, you've been inspired, and you want to show it to everyone, put it up on that Facebook group. And that's where Neil and I are going to be watching that every single day, and we're going to be responding to questions. That's going to be the place where the conversation happens. Okay. So don't feel frustrated if you don't get your questions answered on the webinars themselves. We're up to 170 people now on the webinar. We can't do live Q&A. The Facebook group is where we've chosen to do it. So please go and join the group. Okay. So no, Monica, we're not going to do a Q&A at the end of the session. We actually decided against that because the numbers just got too big. We thought we were going to have maybe 50 people join us on a webinar. As it is, we're already over 170 people. And so live Q&A just won't work at the end. Okay, so if I can ask you, out of respect for Neil, attend all 3 sessions. Okay, so today is just the first of 3 sessions. Give him the chance to build out the value that he wants to bring to you. It's not all going to happen today. It's going to be broken out down into the sessions. So it's today, next week, and the following week. So it's just 3 Tuesdays in a row from 10 till 11. So attend all 3. Are there going to be replays? Yes. I'm busy recording the session, and I will release the replays afterwards. So I will email them out to everyone. And then, yes, so finally, again, I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, but there are 1 or 2 of you that Neil and I might reach out to directly after the webinars to get onto a sort of small group coaching session with us. So we're going to have a look through some of your social media. We're going to just stalk a few of you. And if we like what we see and we think there's some good potential there, we might reach out to you and say, hey, why don't you join 4 or 5 others on a sort of a small group coaching thing, which Neil and I will do. So we're not promising that to everyone. We will reach out to you if we want to spend that time with you. But if you do to be one of those, that is going to be an incredibly exciting opportunity, because what Neil and I will do is we'll actually look at your social media channels and we'll have a chance to make some recommendations. So yeah, if you get a phone call from one of us, please move heaven and earth to attend that little session that we put together for you. All right, I think that's all I want to say by way of introduction. Neil, thank you so much for being able to, or being willing to serve us the way you will over the next 3 weeks. And I know, along with everybody else, I'm really looking forward to it. So over to you, Neil.
Awesome, Steve. Thanks so much for the intro. And yeah, really excited that there's so many people out here. Steve and I started this out thinking that there's going to be about 50 agents, and there's close to 200 on this call, which is amazing. So thanks so much for joining. A little bit about the structure of today's webinar that we'll run through. So we're going to look a little bit at my story. I won't share too much. I'll just share my career journey. Then we're going to look at the importance of laying the foundation for your social media growth on good, unique content. And then my favorite part, we're going to close up benefits of creating unique content can have for your business. But yeah, let's dive in. A bit about my story. I've had a roller coaster career journey. I started out as a pro cyclist. I won races like the 94.7. I was in the top 5 of most races nationwide around the country. A lot of the teammates that I used to race with have gone on to become world champions, racing the Tour de France. But yeah, God had other plans. I suffered 3 major accidents in cycling races where I sustained pretty major brain injuries, concussions. And the last concussion was particularly bad, that I lost majority of my vestibular function. I still remember vestibular function is your muscular function. I still remember one day looking at my legs. I was on the stationary bike, indoor training bike, those bikes you have at the gym, looking at my legs, and they weren't turning. But in my mind, my legs were turning. So the neural pathways were not firing to my muscles. And it was a very tough time in my life. I felt paralyzed. I wasn't sure, is this temporary? Is this permanent? But anyway, it came right. The same specialist that helped the rugby player, Pat Lambie, come right. She helped me get those neural pathways firing again. And long story short, about a year of unemployment, wrestling, going through that tough time. at the end of that year, I think it was 2019, I came across a man who was very, very dynamic entrepreneur. He took me under his wing and he said to me, Neil, come and work for me. I actually wanted to start a cycling brand in the country. All I knew was how to ride a bike. I didn't have a degree to fall back on, so I thought, hey, let me try start a cycling business. Asked his advice. He said to me, you're not ready to start your own business. And anyway, took me under his wing, and within a year of laying on my back, I met this guy. A year later, launched an online vintage furniture store known as Flippers. You'll see the link in my bio on Instagram. That business has grown to a team of 6 employees that assist me with that. And then 2 years went by with that business, and then I ventured into real estate, which was about 10 months ago. And here I am. So that's a little bit about my story. But you may be asking, how did I start with video content on Instagram? It was actually a bit of luck and sparked by a conversation with a EXP agent named Glenn Bradfield. We were chatting, and I was struggling with leads, and I just said to him, hey man, when you were a brand new agent, what helped you get leads in the beginning? And at the time he was in Port Elizabeth, and he said, Neil, I just did videos interviewing business owners in Port Elizabeth, whether it's Bob the plumber or Fred the car dealership owner, and he put the highlight on them, and as a result there was spillover marketing. He got to network with different business owners in the community, and so I was like, okay, cool, man, I'm gonna do some videos. So phoned some business owners that I thought were quite cool in my areas, and one of them picked up and agreed to do a video with me, and we'll actually look at that video in this webinar. But that video took off, so I thought, okay, well, this video thing really works. Let me try to do exactly the same. Once I started getting listings, I thought, okay, let me speak a bit on camera, add some background music, do some video shots of the properties, and that's how it all started. And things have just really grown beyond my imagination. I actually felt quite emotional and just overwhelmed with a sense of gratitude as I was preparing for this webinar, because the lessons that I've been learning and implementing these past few weeks have changed my life and business, and I really believe it can change and transform your business as well if you effectively use the powerful tool that is social media. But yeah, if you were to title today's webinar, we could call it the benefits of creating unique content, which brings me to my first point. And Steve and I are going to discuss things. So Steve, please stop me if you've got questions. This is like a very discussion format. But yeah, the first point will be content. In a society where we often hear the saying that cash is king, in today's virtual world of social media, content is king. It really is the foundation of all social media growth. I wanted to touch on several things before we look at some video examples. We're going to look at different business owners from different industries and some of the reels. I'm going to put a focus on Instagram Reels today, and we'll learn some things from them. But just to touch on paid ads, financially boosted ads, and the mix between that and good content. What helps me understand this is that it's kind of like race fuel. So imagine 2 vehicles. You've got a Toyota Yaris that can barely go 100 on the highway, and maybe a little bit faster depending on the driver. And then you've got a Ferrari with a massive engine, supercharged, turbocharged. When you put race fuel in a Ferrari, that thing moves. You know, it may not fly because it doesn't have wings, but it's going to move really fast. But if you put race fuel in a Toyota Yaris, it's not going to go much quicker than 100 on the highway. But the point I'm trying to make is that if you financially boost your ads that have bad content, you can throw as much money as you want at those ads. If you've got good, excellent, creative content, that content will go further and you won't even have to spend a cent on it. Now, if you mix the two, if you add financially boost very good content, you've got a very effective combination. But we'll speak more on that in the other webinars. But before we dive into some examples, there's two ways of approaching social media. I found you can approach it for entertainment, mindless, aimless, purposeless scrolling. Some of us have probably had that where you wake up in the morning and an hour goes by before you know it because you're scrolling away. Or you can approach it through the lens of education, and that's all I do when I'm on Instagram. I'm watching reels, I'm saving reels, I'm taking notes, and I'm constantly trying to figure out how do I duplicate what's working for them. Some of these reels get millions of views and they change people's lives and businesses forever. How do I duplicate that and add my own flair so that it can benefit my business? So I want us to put on those lenses as we look at some examples of different business owners today. Let me share my screen here. The first guy we're going to look at is a guy named Bobby Petkov. He's a second-hand car dealership owner in Joburg. I'm going to show you.
Neil, while you're pulling that up, I just want to comment on this whole thing of R&D. So you've heard of, in historic terms, R&D standard for research and development. Now that's how you took your business forward. And in social media circles, R&D is a business strategy that has been used by many of the top social media influencers in the world. And R&D stands for rip off and duplicate. And it sounds a little mercenary, but it is actually how many people come up with their content. They follow others who are succeeding. Then they see which content of those successful people was the most successful content. So you're not just looking at the most successful people, you're looking at the most successful content of the most successful people. And then they try to figure out what is it about that piece of content that made this so successful. And then they just go and create a video basically on the same content. So you don't copy the script, but you copy as much as is necessary to get the same effect. So you don't have to come up with content ideas originally. You can just see what others are doing. And this is what Neil is about to show us. Thanks, Neil.
Awesome. So my mic's going to be off, so we'll just watch the video and then I'll come back in and speak about it.
Take a look. Toyota have thought of everything. Navigation for your husband, you don't need it because once you got married, you got the know-it-all passport. What they've especially designed for you ladies is the ample space to do multitasking. Check this out. You've got space to do this, and this, and this, and this, while doing this, and driving. Now this Fortuner will be able to transport 5 bundles of joy in peace and tranquility, if they're yours. However, if you've inherited brass, don't stress about it. The brown leather color on this Fortuner will be able to camouflage anything from a chocolate milk spill to the nastiest nappy incidents, which you know your husband won't take care of. Toyota provided you ample space for all the ball bags and extra school activities that your kids are going to do. Speaking of ball bags, yours can attach his trailer for all those weekends away when he goes drinking, fishing. Now come to the front. Now, after all is said and done, we know that being a mom is the toughest job on the planet. We appreciate you, thank you, and take care.
Yeah, so basically there's a video of Bobby, very normal guy, but contrary to popular belief, there's not many car dealership owners that are doing this. For those of you that might know, big car dealers like We Buy Cars are actually in a lot of trouble due to the economy. But this guy's doing some very creative stuff. He does it on a lot of his vehicles. But first thing we notice, is his passion and energy. He captivates you by the way he's speaking about it. And there's quite a lesson there. If your video reel doesn't captivate someone in the first couple of seconds, that people aren't going to like it, share it, or continue watching to hear what you have to say. So those first few seconds are quite vital. And he also incorporates a bit of humor in there. That's something that I can improve on, because what do people do when they find something funny? They share it. And every time you share Bobby's video, that's free marketing for Bobby. And yeah, so in an industry like the motor trade, where a lot of car dealerships' doors are closing, Bobby's business is growing because he's doing unique video content on his vehicles. But I want to look at another video of Bobby's, not really related to a vehicle he's trying to sell, but it got a lot of views, and I'll tell you why now.
By far, picking up, dropping customers all over the place. Therefore, the need for engines comes in. That's why your Hilux and your Toyota Fortuners get stolen so much, because the engine is actually compatible in a Quantum. I'll put the engine in a Quantum, here we go, another 800,000 Ks or whatever it is that they do, and then sell off the other body parts. Then Nissan MP200s. It's the third most hijacked vehicle in South Africa. An MP200 is also very much in demand. Okay, so the supply from the dark market needs to be there, because in South Africa, we don't really have a small bakkie competitor to the MP200. So that's the only thing that we've got.
Yes.
They get stolen. Those ones, many of them, many of them, they get new tags, new numbers, and then they get sold off. So I want to get into the 5 cars and why.
Yeah, so Bobby here is doing a video on sort of like the top 5 most stolen and hijacked cars, and you're probably wondering it's kind of short-sighted, a guy that's telling you how many of these cars get stolen, and those very cars are on his dealership floor. So I mean, he's selling Polos, Hiluxes, and the like. But this is a form of what we'll chat about shortly, a form of indirect marketing, because this video got shared 8,600 times in Instagram Messenger and hit over 640,000 views. So everybody finds this fascinating, that these cars are the most stolen, and they share it with their friends who have the same car. So there's a huge amount of spillover marketing for Bobby there, an incredibly effective video. But what I really wanted to focus a little bit on is Bobby's journey. I mean, I see him post videos all the time. Some of his videos get very little views. He started some time ago with a very imperfect start. His videos were super average, and they've improved with time. But if you were to take, if I wanted you to take anything away from this whole webinar series, it would be the importance of starting somewhere. Every social media guru, influencer, somebody who's made it work on social media has had a pretty average start, but they've embarked on this journey of figuring it out, seeing what works, what doesn't work, and that's what Bobby's done, and he hasn't stopped doing it. And as a result of experimenting and seeing what works and doesn't work, he's stumbled across videos and ideas like this that take off and radically change his business. I mean, you can imagine what that's done for a car dealership owner, for 640,000 people to see his video, 8,600 shares. Yeah, it can do wonders for your business. It has for others, and it can for you as well. So on to the last section, which I'm going to call unique indirect marketing. There's direct marketing, so you're talking about a property, you're advertising, you're saying this property is for sale, you're speaking a little bit about the features of the property. That's pretty direct. And then there's indirect, which is kind of not related to the industry, but results in spillover or organic social media growth. This is a much more cost-effective, creative way of generating leads and followers. So I'm going to jump into some examples of unique indirect marketing, or otherwise known as organic marketing. Let's take a look at one of the videos I did with a tailor in Parkhurst to introduce you to some really unique, amazing business owners in the parks of Joburg. First up today, I want to introduce you to a guy named David Harris. He's a really cool guy. He's not only helping me upgrade my style, but he's also making an awesome impact in the Parkhurst community. Dave, tell us a bit more about what you do.
Hey everyone, so I'm David Harris. I run a custom tailoring house right here in Parkhurst. It's called David Harris Custom Made. So we specialize in custom suits, all custom clothing. We do a lot of wedding suits. So come check us out. We're on 4th Avenue. All our suits and clothing are made right here in Joburg. So yeah.
Cool. So yeah, there's a form of indirect marketing. I started doing a video series that I called Interviewing Unique Business Owners in the Parks, where I put the highlight on them, empower them, and give them free marketing. And you might ask, why does a real estate agent interview a tailor in Parkhurst, but the top businessmen in the parks go to that guy for their suits? If they're spending 20, 40,000 Rand on a suit, they've probably got a pretty big house. But there's spillover for me. So I tag him, that video gets shown on his page to all of his followers. He gets exposed to all of my followers. So it's a huge win-win. And it's in the area that I really focus on as well. So that was my first video, and it's been a major catalyst of growth. And I've been so surprised as to what's come from that and the different business owners I've been able to interview since. But I want to take a look at a estate agent in the UK she's far more indirect. I like a mixture of indirect and direct marketing, where I speak about the properties I'm selling. You would never say that she's a real estate agent, but she's one power agent, but all she talks about is other business owners or heritage sites and the like. Let's take a look at one of her videos.
France, and I'm in the hospice of Beaune. So this was founded in 1443 by Nicholas Rollin, who was the Chancellor of Burgundy at the time. There was 100 years war happening, and there were lots of massacres as well as bloodshed. So there are a lot of people that needed medical assistance. This was founded as a hospital to take care of the poor and provide medical assistance. What is fascinating, as you can see behind, is the wonderful and perhaps some of the best existing examples of Burgundian Renaissance architecture. And as you can see, the tiled roofs are actually a polychrome tile, which is really unique to the area. Finally, every November there is an auction for wine, as the hospice owns 100 hectares of land around the area. They raise money for the local hospitals as well as funds to keep this place up and running. Anyhow, they're closing and I've got to run off, so wish me luck and I'll see you guys later. Bye.
Cool. So her name's Ari Reed. She travels the world and does videos of different heritage sites, but her main area that she sells in is main country and area is London. And she's invested in multiple apartment buildings, and she's a successful real estate agent. But I would honestly say 80 to 90% of the content on her page is like this, looking at heritage sites, top restaurants. It's completely indirect, but there's huge spillover as a result of it. She creates content that's super interesting, like interesting facts you didn't know about, and that add value. So she sees sort of where are value add gaps that she can find, and she looks for opportunities to create videos around that. And by doing this, she's built an Instagram page of over 140,000 followers, and yeah, does really as a result of that. So that's an awesome result, awesome example of the power of indirect marketing. So just a question, you don't have to answer this, just something for you to think about. What are some forms of indirect marketing that you could do? I'd challenge you and encourage you to write them down before the end of this webinar and figure out how to put those into place and start on your social media journey. But in closing, I haven't even scratched the surface of how powerful social media can be. I'm really still learning and just starting out and seeing the benefits. But I want to highlight 3 major benefits that you can experience if you apply these things to your business, specifically the 3 major benefits of creating unique and good content that I've experienced. Number 1, it's an incredibly, when you're speaking to people at a braai or at a conference or wherever in your networking circles you are, it's an incredibly powerful and tangible way to show people what you do. So recently I was at a family braai. One of the people in my family owns the local fruit and veg in my area. And he said to me, okay, I see you're doing real estate now and you're involved in property. And I said, Tex, I'm really excited. We're doing some very exciting things on social media. Take a look at this 30-second video. I show him one of the videos I'm doing on the properties. And he's like, wow, no ways. That's incredible. I'm going to share it with a couple of my friends who are looking to sell. Another story was with a guy I was on an early morning run with. He said to me, I knew him from before, but he was just saying, I really struggle with the fact that agents aren't producing good video content where they talk about the properties and this and that. And I said, wow, man, you're talking to the right guy. Take a look at these videos I'm doing for my clients. And that's led to me working on a property portfolio of his of 5 properties in some of the wealthiest suburbs in Joburg. But I wouldn't have gotten his attention in that moment if I didn't have something tangible to show him. If I just spoke to him about how I advertise on Property 24 or do this and that, I wouldn't have captured his attention. So it's a very good tangible tool to have in your hand as you're networking and talking with people. My line is I just tell people that I'm doing, which is true, some very exciting things on social media. Can I show you one of my quick videos? And that works really well. The second one is it gives your sellers exceptional assurance that you're throwing everything you have at marketing their property. I can't tell you how many times or how many testimonials I've gotten from clients after I send them a video a couple of hours after walking through their door of their property with amazing background music that looks aesthetically very pleasing. They're literally blown away by it. And I mean, put yourself in your customer's shoes. Imagine you received an awesome sneak peek reel of your property online within a couple of hours of that agent walking through your door. It really gives them a good assurance that you're throwing the kitchen sink at marketing their property. Thirdly, whoops, lost my notes there. Thirdly, online lead generation. I can't keep up with the leads that are coming from my videos. It's a very good problem to have, but I'm getting seller leads, buyer leads through my videos. For every video I post, I'm getting 1 to 2 mandates out of every video that I post and boost. On average, the past few weeks, that's how many mandates I'm getting from these videos, which is incredible and life-changing. I'm extremely grateful. And so that's really it. I really believe that if you effectively use social media, create good content, you can experience the same benefits. Yeah.
Excellent, Neil. Thank you so much. Awesome. Got lots of food for thought there. So, guys, I'm sharing with you Neil's Instagram account now. And if you want to go and follow him, it's Neil Robinson _real estate is his handle on Instagram. Let's watch one of his real estate videos together. Let's choose this one. I just need to mute my mic before I do this. Give me a second.
Show you today this modern 3-bedroom house has been meticulously renovated, giving it a fresh, modern, open plan feel to it. Come and join me for a sneak peek. I've got a Parkhurst gem to show you today. This modern 3-bedroom house has been meticulously renovated.
Okay, so Neil, I've got some questions for you. Coming out of that little video, okay, so 2 questions from that video. How are you approaching the mix of content now between the non-listing related content, like that last one's obviously listing specific content, and the kind of broader, like shareable appeal content, like the interviews and so how are you approaching the mix there?
Yeah, look, I don't have an exact formula, but I try and incorporate sort of a business interview every 2 to 3 weeks, depending on what ideas I have in my mind. Like tomorrow, I'm going to quite a cool interview to a Ferrari dealership. I'm going to get to jump in a Ferrari and showcase some cool Ferraris there, which is quite exciting. The actual reason I'm doing the video is so I can drive a Ferrari, but don't tell anybody that. I put a big focus on my sellers so that I can create a good relationship with them and get some good referral business as a result of that. So at this stage, there's a big focus on the listings and doing great videos for my sellers that lead to more sellers. Because people message me on these videos. I can quote a recent message I got. They said, Neil, I love your approach to doing videos on social media. Please, can you help me sell my property? This is a super high-end, probably one of the most valuable properties in Parkhurst. And saw my video content and said, hey, can you help me? Which is like handing a property to me on a silver platter. So I'm placing a premium on property listings, speaking about the property listing in a passionate, engaging way, and trying to keep the videos short and captivating so that people don't lose engagement with it. Because we all tend to have fairly short attention spans when it comes to scrolling online.
Great, thank you, Neil. Helpful. How important is the music in a video? Because music is a whole separate channel to people's emotion, and it seems to me that the music is a big part of the power of the video. Do you want to comment on that?
Yeah. So not only is it powerful in terms of arousing your emotions and different things, but there's also a thing on Instagram called trending audio. So Instagram pushes videos that have trending audios. How do you find a trending audio? You scroll through your phone in the search panel or reels, and you look at let's say you look at 10 reels, take note of what audios they're using. If you click on that, if you click use audio, you'll notice that it'll show you how many times that audio has been used on reels. If those videos got very high views, Instagram will push trending audios. So it's not only to do with creating an experience for people, it also has to do with what's trending.
Oh, that is fascinating. I didn't know that. Wow. Sure. So, I mean, you can even use the algorithms of Instagram itself to pick the audio for your reel, and the audio will help drive the viral growth of the video.
Yeah.
That is awesome. How long should videos be? And maybe you want to, I don't know, maybe this is something you're going to get onto in the next couple of weeks. If you don't want to answer these questions now, feel free to just say we are going to get to that. But my question is around like the listing video side versus the interviews. Is there a difference between the length? What's your comment on all of that?
I keep every video reel under 1 minute 30 seconds, because as soon as it crosses 1 minute 30 seconds, Instagram doesn't allow you to boost it. So I'm a big fan of that mixture that I spoke about, having great content plus boosting it. Depending on how good the content is, I'll usually post something and see the response. Depending on the response, I fund it accordingly. So if it didn't get a great response, I know if I put a lot of money behind that, it's going to be wasted. There's not great return on investment. If there's an amazing response without any paid ads, then I throw some money behind that, and it really takes off. But under 1 minute 30, that way you get people's attention because of their short attention spans on social media, and you're still allowed to boost it.
Okay, awesome. So I hope you got that, guys. So Neil's talking about post content. He sees which bits of content are getting organic traction. So clearly the content is engaging and people are enjoying the content. And when he sees one that's got organic traction, he then boosts it. But you can't boost it if it's longer than 90 seconds or a minute and a half. Okay, excellent. So if you were the one we looked at earlier, that got 53,000 views, very impressive. Would that have been? Did you boost that from the beginning, or would you have first seen that was getting traction?
I gave it about 30 minutes to an hour, and it gained a lot of traction in that short time. That's also a timing thing. If the likes go up really fast, it means it's really good content. If it takes 2 days for you to get very few likes, then the content's not great. So I quickly saw and kept tabs on it, and then I boosted it. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Then another question I had was around, if I can just find my notes, around humor. So obviously Bobby, and I know you did mention this as an area where you could perhaps improve, but that guy Bobby I mean, you showed us 2 videos. One was not humorous at all. He's talking about which cars get hijacked the most. The second one was incredibly humorous about the Fortuna being the perfect mommy's car. I see on your channel here, you've got a bloopers, what do you call these things, like a section or something?
Yeah, story highlight, yeah.
Yeah, story highlight. So you've got bloopers here.
Go back. I said
Hi everyone, I'm currently walking through the vibrant park.
So do you find that those little bloopers reels get quite good traction?
Yeah, so I didn't do an actual post on my timeline with it, but I posted it to my stories, and I got a lot of engagement. A lot of people sent laughing faces. It was very disarming for quite a few people to reach out to me, almost like, I don't know, it may be taking you off of a pedestal, like you do these amazing videos, but behind the scenes, it actually takes me 20 tries to get it right. So it created an approachability with a lot of my audience, if that makes sense. Yeah.
I see you are following 2,332 people. You've got 4,300 followers. Is there a relation between these two numbers, or is the followers purely a matter of the content that you're sharing?
Yes and no. So when I first started, I tried to, and Instagram actually doesn't like you doing this. So I was a bit naughty, but every time I got likes on my posts from people that didn't follow me or I didn't follow, I follow them back. And as that notification comes up, Neil Robinson Real Estate is following you, they then click on my profile and follow me back, if that makes sense. So it's a natural way of generating followers. So I did that a lot in the beginning, because boosted ads, people often like your posts, but they don't follow your profile. So every account that liked my posts but didn't follow my profile, I followed them back, and as a result, a few of them followed me back. But I don't do that anymore. I only rely on organic and paid growth now. So that was a good strategy right in the beginning.
Okay, cool. I see there's questions about how do I get started? How do I start? So, Di, can I suggest that you join the Facebook group and maybe flesh out that question a bit? So, what is it that you're intimidated by? What is it that you what is it you don't know how to do? I'm sure you know how to open an Instagram account, and then you can load a video onto Instagram. You just click the little plus button and upload it. So just tell us where it is that you're struggling on and what you mean by how to get started. These are the kind of conversations that we're going to pick up on the Facebook group, guys. So please don't feel like you're going to be all lost here now because no one answered your question. The real conversation is still to be started. Okay, I had a couple of other little quizzes. Okay, so the rip off and duplicate thing, Neil. One of the pieces of content that you're going to find is very successful, maybe more so on YouTube than Instagram, but maybe guys are doing it on Instagram, I don't know, is restaurant reviews. And it's particularly powerful for estate agents to do this because you want to be seen as the kind of digital mayor of your area. Your online presence needs to shout out, I know what's happening in Neil's case, the parks. I'm the guy to speak to if you want to know anything about what's happening in the parks. And obviously restaurants is a huge part of the culture of any community. So restaurant reviews is a really good piece of content. I don't know if you can get a restaurant review done in 90 seconds. I don't know if it's got to be slightly longer. I know Kyle Whistle has done some unbelievably successful content on restaurant reviews in his area. So I don't know, talk about restaurant reviews, Neil.
Yeah, I haven't done much. I did a coffee shop once, Plato Coffee. They also shared it on their page. I didn't speak about it. It was just some background music, some selfies with the barista and videos of them making the coffee. And that gained a little bit of traction, but it's certainly something I'd like to explore more and do it effectively. At this stage, it's just a time thing. These videos and editing them, there's unfortunately no shortcuts around creating good content. You need to invest some time into the editing of them.
Okay, so am I correct, Neil, in the next two sessions, are we going to address the sort of how-tos of shooting video, like what equipment do you use? What editing software do you use? Do you use Instagram's native editor? Do you have it? We're going to get to all of that, hey? Yeah.
The next sessions are going to be a lot more practical.
Okay. I had some questions. Just tell me if we're going to do this in the future around the text that you add along with the video. How important is the text, the headline? How important are the hashtags that you use in the text section?
I use ChatGPT a lot, artificial intelligence. So I try, my philosophy generally is less is more when it comes to descriptions. So like that Parkhurst video, I'll just title it Parkhurst Gem. That's it. Because I know the video is what gains the traction more than the text. No, hardly people ever actually read through a massive paragraph describing the eloquency of the experience of the etc. But yeah, so I try to keep it short, simple, to the point, and make sure that the video is the captivating part. And obviously listing some of the features of the property that are essential to be on there. And then with hashtags, I honestly ask ChatGPT or artificial intelligence, alongside my description, hey, ChatGPT, what are some relevant hashtags to go alongside Instagram Reel that apply to my market in this area, in this country? And it populates a whole bunch of hashtags. I copy it, I paste it, done. It's like 2 minutes.
Yeah. ChatGPT, guys, ask ChatGPT the questions. It'll give you amazing answers that you weren't expecting. On the boosting side of things, I don't know are we going to talk in the future about the actual practicalities of boosting, like how much money do you spend on boosting? How do you target your geographic area with boosting, that sort of thing?
Yeah, we can talk. We're going to talk about that more in session 2 and 3.
Yeah.
But long story short, keep it at a minimum of 5 days upwards. You get a duration that you can run your ad for. 5 days upwards generally works the best. I find weekends or public holiday or long weekends is like a gold mine because people are relaxed. They're in a positive space. There's a bit of a holiday vibe. So when they're scrolling through their phone, they're not only in a better mental space, but they're also not distracted with work. So I try and focus ads on those type of weekends. That just personally works for me. But we can chat more in detail on that in the other sessions. Yeah.
Are we going to talk other platforms, or do you want to comment on that now? Like, I know you're big on Instagram. Do you believe in mixing? Like, do you post your videos also on TikTok and Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts and that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I still need to get on YouTube and TikTok. I'm a big fan of, and I've got a lot of confidence in Instagram as I built my entire furniture business on Instagram. So I know it. I've got confidence, but I do post on Facebook Reels. I post on my WhatsApp statuses. Even WhatsApp does quite well just from a visibility perspective for people in my direct circle of friends. And yeah, but I'd like to get on board YouTube and TikTok in the near future. Yeah.
Yeah, I with my content, I'm trying to post everything on everything. So if I've gone to the effort of shooting a video, it takes an extra 15-20 minutes for me to load it on. I mean, if it's going on Instagram, why not then load it on Facebook Story, Facebook business page, the Facebook groups that I'm the administrator on, YouTube, TikTok, and then the stories and because there's also stories you could put it on those channels. So I mean, I just think, man, if I've gone to the effort of creating the content, let's just put it on everything. I know it is extra work. There are software as a service options which you can subscribe to, which will syndicate your videos to multiple channels all at one time. They don't do everything. You still have to manually go and send it to some of the like business pages or groups and things like that. But I've never actually subscribed to those. I've always just found it for the extra 15 or 20 minutes it takes me to just post it on everything is worth my time. But that's not scientific. It's just something that I've always done because I feel like, well, I've got the content. Let's put it out everywhere.
Yeah. Great.
Frequency of posting, is that something you want to deal with now? Like how often you post?
Look, we can chat more in detail in the coaching sessions, but I try to post 3 to 4 times a week on my main page. I don't always get it right, but I make sure that my stories are full all the time. So I try and post at least 3 times a day. So literally morning, lunch, supper. If you spread them out like that, you get the best chance of hitting the most, getting the best hit rate instead of posting 10 in the morning and never posting again. Morning, lunch, supper tends to give the best spread. So I try and post a minimum of 3 stories every day. It's very rare that my story is expired or whatever. It might be expired now, but I'll post one soon.
So stories expire every 24 hours?
Yes.
Okay. And that's the other thing I do with all of my video content, guys, is I put it on my YouTube status. What's it called? Status. Yeah. Because I'm amazed by how many people go onto YouTube and actually view my YouTube status. Now, YouTube status, you can only put a 30-second bit of video. So you choose the video from your photos, and then there's a little slider where you can choose the 30 seconds. So I just choose the first 30 seconds, then I do a second status, and I move the slider to exactly where the previous one ended, and I basically chop the video up. I've done like a 15-minute video before on a YouTube status, and you'd be amazed by how many people watch the full 15 minutes, because you can see on each little segment how many people have watched it, and I can see the same person has watched all 30 of them, or however many there are. So with like a 90-second video, it's just 3 little segments. So WhatsApp statuses also actually work very well for exposure for me.
Yeah. Just a last note there, Steve. There's power in what I call reposting. So let's say I posted a video or a just listed post 2 months ago. To either delete that post or just duplicate it and post it again so it's fresh on people's timelines, because there's different windows. None of us are on Instagram at the same time on a daily, weekly basis, so we miss certain posts. So if I'm the target market, if Steve posts something today at 1 o'clock, I might miss it, but then 2 weeks later, if he reposts that, and I happen to be on Instagram at the time that he reposts it, it appears on my timeline. So there's a power of reposting to catch people at different time windows.
So is there actually a little button on Instagram itself to repost?
No, I just created a new post.
Okay, you just create a new one. So
with the same content, yeah.
Yes. So this was a video of mine that I
That leads me to the last.
I'm wondering if there's a repost button. No. Okay, so for those of you wanting to know how to boost, I see there's the little boost button there. So this is on my computer. It may look a little different when you're on your phone, but Neil will get into that in the weeks ahead. Okay, guys, we're at 11 o'clock, man. You can tell I'm fascinated by the stuff. I could keep asking questions all day. But Neil, thank you so much for everything today. We look forward to the rest of the session. Guys, please do join that Facebook group. Get your questions. I promise Neil and I will be watching it every day, and we'll respond to the questions and be part of the conversation there. And I look forward to seeing you same time next week. So 10 o'clock next week. Thanks again, Neil. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.